Hello everyone, and welcome back. For a long time now I've wanted to make pemmican, the ultimate survival food that lasts for, I don't know, they say over 50 years. And I never seem to get around to it. And I actually, when I was down in Louisiana, I bought some of this. This is just like a round type steak that doesn't have much fat in it. This was on temporary price reduction, so I bought it. And I bought some down there, but I could not find any beef tallow or any beef fat to make into tallow. So when I got back up here to Minnesota, I did some more research, and up here we sell a lot of beef suet in the stores because people feed it to the birds, I think. I don't know what else they would use it for. And anyway, that actually is tallow. So, well, kind of. We're still gonna render it down and strain it and everything, but for right now, the beginning part is getting the fat off of this, cutting this meat into strips, and then I'm going to put it in the oven here on the lowest setting and open up the door. And then I'm just going to let this sit and dry at least overnight tonight, and then it has to be completely brittle dry, so drier than when I make jerky, just so it snaps. So anyway, right now I'm cutting off any fat that I see here, and then I'm going to get it cut up into strips and get it on a pan and put it in the oven. So I'm putting it in at 170, that's the lowest my oven will go, and then I'm going to leave the door open a little bit. Alright, I put that in late tonight, or well, almost 8:30, so I can just leave that in there overnight. It's not affecting anything. And then we'll see how it is tomorrow. I might have to get more meat because, I mean, that looked like I had about 2.5 cups of meat wet, and yeah, I don't make a lot of jerky. That's going to drop down to nothing, so if we need more, we will, but for right now, at least we'll get this dried out. Alright, well, I left it on overnight. Most of it is just snapped. I have to get to work, though, so I'm going to just throw this in a Ziploc bag, put it in the fridge. And then when I get home, I'll turn the oven on again and put it in there and do any final drying, but it's pretty much as dry as it needs to be. It just snaps. Well, I'm back home here, and I took that, the meat, which was, I put it in the fridge, you know, this morning, and I left it out to room temperature, and it easily snapped, so it was dry, but I put it back in the oven here for just a little bit in case there was any humidity that got into it or whatever, and now I'm just cutting up this beef fat, and what I'm going to do is just cut this into littler chunks, and then I want to take and put it in a pan so we can melt it, and then I'm going to strain it, and then we can finally use it. So it's pretty neat that this suet or tallow, whatever it is, it has a melting point of right around 115 degrees, 120 degrees right in there. So it melts really easy, and it dries or hardens pretty hard. So, I mean, these bars, they're not going to be really hard, but it's definitely not a loose type of fat. I'm going to put just a little bit of water in the bottom of this pan. It'll evaporate out, but it'll keep my beef fat from burning at all before everything starts melting. And most of the stories that you read about this, you know, it's really interesting how so many groups of people actually survived for long periods of time just eating pemmican and drinking water. To me, it's weird because what about scurvy, where you have to have vitamin C? But they do say you can add nuts, berries, stuff like that, as long as it's dried. So maybe they did that. They say that like this will outlast you, basically, like 50 years it'll last. And they said that it can, if you add stuff like sugar, stuff like that, it can shorten the shelf life. So anyway, this is dried blueberries and dried walnuts. And I'm going to go ahead and put these in there when I mix it up just to give it some flavor, because every single thing that you read says it does not taste very good. So by adding something, it'll improve the taste. Well, the first thing I'm going to grind is just the meat by itself. See how this goes. Well, I got about 2 cups out of that. It ground it up pretty good, so I guess now we'll just try the nuts and berries. I added some more to this pan here because I'm actually going to need almost, well, about 2 cups worth. As I was reading all those different recipes, a lot of them are actually say it ends up being more like 1/3 fat and 2/3 of the dry ingredients, but you basically just put it in there until it's all saturated. So, but this might take a while. I'm supposed to do this until it stops bubbling. Well, this has been going for probably about an hour now, and it's getting closer. The bubbles are getting smaller. Well, I mixed the dried meat with the dried nuts and the dried blueberries, and I took a little taste, and there's a little bit of flavor there, not a whole lot of anything. And when I say that, I mean nothing like salt or anything, but now I need to take a little bit of this fat, let it cool for a second, make sure there's nothing salty about this. Nothing there, exactly what you think it would taste like, kind of like fat. So now is the time if I want to add seasoned salt or any type of, like if it was Melissa, she would be adding garlic powder and onion powder and all that stuff, because that's really not going to affect the shelf life. I think I'm just going to add some seasoning salt, just try to get a little bit of flavor there. This over here now is just about done bubbling. I'm going to dump this into here because it'll be easier to mix in a bigger bowl like this. Okay, well that is pretty much stopped. There's just a few little bubbles now. I'm really surprised how much of that fat I got out of that one pan. Okay, so that's how you do it, and it said that if it's a little too wet, which I think it is a little bit, you can add almond meal or almond flour. I mean, this would harden up, it would be just fine. And maybe that's how it's supposed to be, but I think I'm going to add a little bit of it in there. I did buy some because I had no clue what was going to happen when I did this. It's pretty neat because you can kind of tamp it. It's almost like, remember when you were a kid and you'd make a mud pie? Kind of half levels itself out. It does that a little bit. Well, when I lick the spoon, it doesn't seem too bad, but it also looks kind of like a brownie, and I think when it dries, it's going to be pretty white, probably. I mean, that fat is going to dry white. Now I'll just let this harden up, and I don't know, it's not really drying or whatever, but then we'll come back and see what it looks like. Alright, well I popped it into the fridge here. It's cold, and I'm surprised it didn't turn white. I have to get myself to bed, so I'm not going to try it tonight, but we'll give it a try tomorrow. Well, it's the next afternoon. I just got back here from working, and I'm going to try to cut this stuff. It's amazing how hard this stuff is. Right now it was in the fridge, of course. It'll soften up a little bit at room temperature. Well, now, according to everything I read, you can just put this in an airtight container in a cool, dark place, kind of like you would do with potatoes, and it'll stay basically forever. I suppose a little less because this has the nuts and the fruit in it, but you can also put it in the freezer or put it in the fridge, whatever you want to do. But the important thing is, what does it taste like? So you really don't know that you're eating fat. It's really not that bad. It's a good thing that the fruit is in there because you get a little bit of the sweetness. Probably wouldn't have needed quite, well, it's not too bad. It's a little bit salty, but not too bad, but I put the salt in myself. I actually kind of like it. I mean, if you think about a survival food, it's not that bad. And they said for what, for 4 ounces of this, it's something like 400 to 600 calories. That's a lot. You get a lot packed into a little bit of an area. So I just went and gave Sarah a little chunk of it. And now, granted, we're eating little chunks of it. You saw the little pieces. And she said it's actually pretty good. She said it tastes to her really kind of savory. Like she would like to put this into something that she was cooking as a flavoring. And she said if you ate a lot of it, you'd be sick of it. So anyway, there it is. I made pemmican. And I'm going to try this again and do different recipes because that was kind of fun. And if I do, I'll make some more videos. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next video.